All right, welcome to the Dallas Stars 2019-20 shotgun season preview. Before we move forward, I just want to say for those new to the channel or those who've been watching and haven't subscribed yet to please consider doing so. I just started this about a year ago. The channel's still small. Could really use your help to grow. Now let's jump right into some of last year's finishing stats. In their division, they finished fourth overall. They got a wild card spot to the playoffs. Overall, they were 15th in the league. Offense was tied for 28th. Ouch. Defense was second overall. Power play 11th. Not bad. That should get better with some of the players they brought in. And their penalty kill was 5th overall. Now they were a monster in the playoffs, and they kind of almost got past St. Louis, maybe not, because the scoring just wasn't there. Bishop basically dragged them that far. As you might remember, they went to Game 7, double overtime, and lost. And Bishop was by far the best player of not only the Stars, maybe of that whole series. And if he can do it again, if he can stay healthy, they can take another run at this thing. They've got maybe with the how old this team is right now, I'd say they have about a 2-year window. 3 might be stretching it. Probably 2 is a safe bet. Now, Jim Neal, the GM, brought in a few veterans to fill out the lineup, especially when it comes to scoring, and he did that for the forward and defensive group. Their coach, Jim Montgomery, this will be his starting a second full season behind the bench. Hopefully that'll help the group as well. He got them to the show in his first year. Not bad. He got them to buy in to this sort of collapsing deal in their own zone around the goalie and just counterattacking whenever they can, capitalizing on mistakes or turnovers. Now, the depth chart, starting with the forwards. Now, actually, let's start with the key departures that left the team first. We're talking about Matt Zuccarello, who was formerly of the New York Rangers. Jason Spezza, who's now with the Maple Leafs. Zuccarello's now with the Minnesota Wild. By the way, Valery Natushkin left, Brett Ritchie, Ben Lovejoy, Mark Mathot, etc., etc. Now, the new players he brought in for the forward group were Joe Pavelski, Corey Perry, and Joel Kurvanata. We'll get back to that in a second. For the defense side of things, they brought in Andre Sakura to fill out that bottom pairing. He came from Edmonton. Now, with the forward group, you're probably going to see the same first line as always. They've always been a top-heavy team. That's been their problem with Jamie Benn, Tyler Seguin, and Alexander Radulov towing that first line. Now, Jamie Benn just took a big dive in his point production last season, and at he's 30 years old right now. Power forwards tend to slow down their careers earlier than any other kind of player, and he's that, he uses his body a lot. He's a checker, he's a scrapper, and maybe he's finally winding down this is the beginning of it. Hopefully not. Hopefully you think he'd be able to pot at least another 10, 15 goals if motivated and used in the proper way. We'll see what happens there. But Pavelski should pop in on that second line. I'm looking at Daily Faceoff right now, and Roop Hintz, by the way, who's the second line center, was fantastic last season. He should improve. Pavelski should be on that line as well, and they've got Jason Dickinson in here. On the third line, they've got Radek Faksa, one of the best names I love saying. And then on his wings, they've got Cogliano and Blake Como. Maybe that could be Corey Perry could fit in on that third line as well, or he could fit on the final line here with Justin Dowling in the center, Garyanov, who's getting another shot with a club. He's a young kid. How old is Jerry Garyanov? He's 20 years old and a former first-round draft pick who plays both wings. So he's going to get a shot probably. Now, they have him on the fourth line here. He may make an appearance as high as the second line on the left-hand side in place of James Dickinson, who could move somewhere else. Matthias Janmark is also penciled in on the fourth line. Justin Dowling as the center. But you could also see Rookie Ty Dellandrea make an appearance as a fourth line center. Maybe have a few Americanos at some point with the club during the season. I guess they'll iron out all that later. Now the defensive pairings, Essen Lindell and John Klingberg are fantastic together. That's not your number one pair. Miro Heiskanen will hopefully play with Stephen Johns. Sounds weird saying that instead of John Stevens, doesn't it? But he's still on the IR, according to Cap Friendly. But he pairs up really well with him. Daily Faceoff has Polak with Heiskanen there. Johns should bump him down. And then on the bottom pairing, you should have Sekera and Polak. Jamie Oleksiak playing that seventh defenseman. Now the goalies, no one needs to tell you about Bishop. He won. He didn't win the Vezina last year, but he did have the best save percentage at a point. I want to say 934, something like that. But he only played around about 42 games. He had some injury problems as he usually does. But Anton Hudobin stepped in. Formerly of the Boston Bruins, and he played spectacular last year. He didn't have a winning record. I think he was 16, 17, and 5 or something, but only because Dallas couldn't score for some reason while he was in net, and in general, really, which is why they went out and got Pavelski. So, but just remember, I mean, some people are saying that, maybe Hudobin's not going to be able to do the same thing that he did last season because he had a .923 save percentage. Remember that when he was with the Boston Bruins the year before, he had a .913 save percentage, and he played 31 games. And then in this past season, he played 41 with a bigger workload and a much better save percentage at .923 with a 2.7 goals against average. So if he's somewhere in between 9.13 and 9.23, that's still pretty darn good. And hopefully with the extra help, they should be able to give him a bit more offensive assistance. Now, when it comes to Cap Friendly and where they sit right now, they have just under $1 million in space left. When it comes to their UFAs and RFAs, I'll start with the forwards first. After this season, Martin Hanzal will be a UFA, as will Matthias Janmark, who could see action in the bottom pairing, obviously. Corey Perry was only signed for 1 year, so he'll be UFA. The RFAs are Riddick Faksa, love saying that name, who's 25, making $2.2 million. He's got arbitration rights. And then there's Roop Hintz, or Hintz, however he says it. He's 22, and he's making under $1 million. He's going to need a raise, especially if he has another breakout year like he did last season. On defense, after this season, your two UFAs are Roman Polak and Andrei Sekera. No biggie right there. And then there's Julius Honka, who's an RFA now, who's apparently they're trying to get traded. He's a right-shot 23-year-old defenseman who was formerly drafted in the first round, and it hasn't worked out for whatever reason. Goalies. Bishop's still signed for 4 more years. Hudobin is a UFA after this next season. He's making 2.5 now. Now, the only person on the IR is Stephen Johns, and he's 27, that right shot D I was speaking about earlier. He's making 2.35 for the next 2 seasons. So I don't know if he's going to make it back on the team, and if he does, they may need to massage that cap somewhat. Where do I think this team is going to end up in the end of it all when the season is finished? I do think they'll make the playoffs. I do. Where they finish in the division is anyone's guess. I don't think they'll get higher than 3rd in the division. I really don't. Maybe 2nd. But I think 3rd is realistic, and I don't think they'll fall lower than 4th. Really, that 3rd or 4th spot, I think, will be theirs. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on how you think this team is going to be doing. Don't forget some of the rookies who might have a quick espresso here and there with the team during the season. I'm talking about winger Jason Robinson, center Ty Dellandrea, Jake Ottinger, the goalie, isn't ready yet. He's probably a couple of years still in the making. And, of course, Joel Curvinata, who's a 23-year-old winger. And I think I got everyone. But yeah, let me know what you think down below. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button if you like this video, and smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon.